Swear. Let me see that shit.
Tonight, it's the battle for a championship and the battle to end off a season on the right note. Tonight, RGR and its Top Flight Series, the Cup Series, presented by Kiowa Glass, heads to Phoenix Raceway on iRacing to see who picks up the final win of the season. Good evening, everyone. I'm Justin Prince alongside me is Brian Britt with Austin Jarby Shire producing as we get set for the final race of the season. And tonight, 17 drivers look to reach the way to victory lane around this 1 mile circuit, Brian. Tonight should be a fun finale.
Yeah, definitely will be a fun one here. I'm looking forward to the conclusion of this season. Of course, it has been nothing but spectacular, I'd say. I mean, just, an analyst, as an analyst, it has been just truly a dream to call a lot of these races. I think this is going to be hopefully just as green as the rest of them. We'll have to wait and see. This is a mile track that does have some short track tendencies as well. It looks like the track temp very grippy right now, 73 degrees as it is nighttime here in Nevada. So a little bit of some dueling in the desert. Of course, I know we're probably going to want to get into the points because that's going to be, I think, what's going to be really hot. But then again, maybe not, considering how, look at Lance.
Well, first of all, we're in Arizona, not Nevada. We are in a desert. But second, you are right in terms of the point standings. Currently, with the amount of entrants for tonight's race, Lance Ripka just needs to start tonight's race to win the championship. He's got a 40-point advantage, and the minimum amount of points you can score with 17 starters is about 27 points. So in our words, Lance Ripka looks to complete what's been the main showing of consistency. 11 top 10s and 11 starts.
Yeah, he's definitely been awesome. I mean, just all season long, he's been so consistent. And, I think he's definitely got it. He's got it wrapped up. I don't think he's got it. He's got it wrapped up. I mean, he's going to start this race unless something really terrible happens right now. He is, I do believe, qualified on the outside pole. I got to look at Jason Spear, though. I think he had 411 points, 412 points. What an incredible season he has had. Got to give him a lot of credit, as well as Thomas Wolf. Even though he's coming up short, I'll tell you, if one race had went just a different way, he'd be in the running tonight.
That's an understatement when it comes to this season, absolutely. Well, let's take a look what's coming up here on Grid Vision for the schedule as we get ready for Build Week. And oh boy, there's a lot of news for Build Week to discuss today. First things first, Atlanta Motor Speedway, the host of Grid Vision Super Speedways tomorrow night, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Champion heads to Charlotte. That should be an interesting one at 9 p.m. Keep in mind, that's around the time of the new build, so that could be an interesting one. What should definitely be an interesting one is the SSRL Truck Series at Phoenix at 9 p.m. on Thursday. Now remember, we're booking Eastern and Pacific time slots for the 2024 season. And keep in mind, in a couple days' time, one of the major things talked about in the community, an oval refresh is set to hit the service. This is the last time we'll see RGR before the refresh.
Yeah, that's definitely an interesting point. I mean, I've heard it's going to change quite a lot of things, like dramatic handling changes, as well as the way the tires wear and things like that. So I think this is going to absolutely shake up the entire iRacing service on the ovals. I mean, I think a lot of the setup shops are probably going to have their hands full trying to figure this out as well, all the builders for different teams. So it's going to be interesting. And as well, I've heard a lot of, rumors and stuff about graphical changes as well, that we could see a major upgrade.
It's already been talked about as a graphical update coming up as part of that build. Keep that in mind when you update your computers on Tuesday. Let's look at your starting grid for the final race of the season. It's Greg Ratliff once again on the pole. He's been one of the qualifying kings. That's 5 poles in 12 races. Buckshot Ripka starts alongside. Then it's Bernard Persson. He's in a Toyota tonight, interestingly enough. He'll start alongside Adam Recker. Jason Spear starts 5th alongside James Hebert, who makes the start. Then it's Michael Walker the second, along with Thomas Wolf. Then it's George Rincon in 9th, and William Gay returns to action. He starts 10th.
Adam Kulikowski, of course, is going to be starting in 11th place. 12th place, Tony Ratliff 13th, Todd Man, or Toad Man, the Todd Gilly, of course. Messed that up a little bit. Darren Bruce back in action. Glad to see him out here. Of course, I remember him from another series. 15th, Eric Whiting. 16th, Jason Ratliff. Where are these Ratliffs coming from? We're seeing them just multiply out here as, of course, 17th, George Dibble.
That's what talks about the run order here for tonight's festivities. So we get all set to go. Your quick keys to victory here tonight.
Definitely patience getting back to the gas. I think that's going to be a big one. And, of course, tire conservation. This track has always been known to eat them up, just considering it's kind of a flatter track. So I think that's going to be the key. Now, don't hit the wall as well, and don't spin out on the dog leg.
We're all set to go with Grand National cars. It's Ratliff on the inside. It's Ripka on the outside. Green flags out. We're underway for the final time this season. And we're underway from Phoenix.
Yeah, really good start there from Greg Ratliff as he, of course, enters turn one uncontested. Of course, side by side for second place as we see Buckshot trying to hold off Bernard Person. And it looks like he's going to get a good run out of turn 4 onto the front stretch. Or back stretch, I should say.
Yes, indeed. The configuration a couple years ago shuffling things a bit. But for many of the drivers, the approach is the same. Get a good run through what's now 3 and 4. Get to that start and finish line. Ripka in second at the line. Greg Ratliff leading to start things off. James Hebert amongst those already shuffling from bottom to top, trying to make some moves in the battle for fourth.
Yeah, of course. I do believe this, if not mistaken, this might be his first start, but he's looking very quick in that car right now, battling with Adam Recker, of course, a seasoned veteran of this series. They are neck and neck battling for that 5th place position. Of course, Recker trying to use that top side. Of course, we see George Rincon in that 7th place. Oh, a little bit of a hit on the wall there for Rincon.
That's going to move Rincon back a little bit here. He had been running in the 7th position, but avoids damage for the most part in the Goodweiser Motorsports car. Now take a look at the 44. William Kay, new paint scheme here tonight. He's already dropped 1 spot so far. He's driving the Bad Boy Mowers machine.
Yeah, really like that that machine there, and hopefully he's going to be able to make it look good with his performance as well. As you see, look at that Bulldog. That's definitely very intimidating on the side of that car.
Well, that's part of the branding, right, when it comes to the Mowers brand. Now, keep in mind, throughout tonight's festivities, long run speed going to be very critical in Munster's 167 lapper. We were talking about this earlier today, expecting a 2-stopper on gas. But with drivers like Thomas Wolff, remember, Wolff went very much backwards at Kansas trying to figure out a way to save gas, and it did not work out in the end in terms of getting finishing position.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And on paper, what he had done last week seemed like it was going to work. But unfortunately, Lance Ripka just had the pace. And even Thomas Wolff even mentioned that same exact thing. He just said that there was no beating Ripka with the way he was able to be so good on the long and mid-run. Of course, Wolff, I think he's going to want to go out with a bang here. He's going to be fast. He's always good on the long runs. And right now, he is definitely hounding Hebert in the 25.
Still trying to see if things get shaped up here. Up at the front, though, it's Greg Ratliff setting the pace so far, 27.7s. Vast majority of the field is in that same range outside of a couple drivers. So far, minimal fall off, about 0.3 of a second, but Greg Ratliff did the same at Kansas, remember. Looked solid to start before the pit road miscues.
Well, this is a very difficult racetrack as well. I mean, of course, Ratliff usually very competent driver. But the thing is, this is a very easy racetrack to miss your mark. So I think Greg has got to be careful about looking in his rearview mirror at Buckshot. I mean, Buckshot is an intimidating presence. When you see that 52 behind you, a lot of times you get a little bit nervous, I got to be honest. I mean, I know I would be. But Ratliff, he's just got to focus ahead and not overdrive the race car. This is a very easy track to do that at.
Right now you see Greg Ratliff trying to make sure he paints the yellow line at least on the entry for that run up through the gears through turn 4. For the most part, single file racing, clean air, also a big part of tonight's racing. It can be tricky once you're in the draft to be able to figure out how to make a pass. Dirty air is a factor here.
Yeah, I mean, of course, this is a mile track that has a lot of short track tendencies, but of course, the long straightaways as well as just also always cause a little bit of some handling woes, especially on the entry to the corner. As we see, of course, some battling further back. I think that's Tony Ratliff. You see behind him William Gay and Michael Walker battling for the 10th place position, verging on possibly going 3 wide. As you see Adam Kulikowski look on.
Darren Bruce also trying to make up some ground after starting 14th, being the last driver to qualify on time. So far, Darren Bruce, only a couple spots picked up. We've talked about him having a lot more experience in the truck. It so far seems to have been a process to learn the circuits here at the short tracks for Darren Bruce.
Yeah, I mean, I remember watching him. I think it was in the Wind Tunnel Series, and he was in the Stingray. He was a Stingray, which was a team that was in that league, and he was one of the he was a championship favorite, I do believe, or at least a championship contender in the truck, and really showed he knew his way around almost every circuit. But it seems like this Xfinity car is just a little bit above his pay grade. I mean, this is a completely different animal right here, and Darren's taking some time to get used to it.
Yeah, the learning curve and even just the braking marks are very different here at Phoenix for it. It go all the way up to the 1 mark on the truck, depending on what side of the racetrack you're at. As Darren Bruce is already under attack and trying to at least attack William Gay, should say, you can't necessarily just sling it on and send it here with this car compared to the truck.
Tell you, we've got a heck of a battle going on right now for 3rd place. Jason Spear trying his best to hold off Bernard Person. Of course, Person very strong on these short runs. He has been getting a lot better on the long runs, though, so we'll see if he can make something happen here. Big send on him. He's trying to get up to the 83, but this is going to be a very hard pass to make. This place is insanely hard to pass at. You really have to kind of step out of your comfort zone to even make a pass happen at this place, because if somebody just protects the bottom, it's going to be very difficult to initiate the pass.
Two teammates looking to squabble a little bit here. Spear, that 3rd position Person, interesting enough, choosing to drive in the Toyota tonight. It is still a Spear Motorsports entry. You see that red writing in the black on the side of the car. Just electing to change the paint scheme and the manufacturer, it looks like, for the finale compared to the Ford. See if that brings a difference.
Yeah, I don't know if that'll change anything. I don't know what the decision was there, but I'll tell you what, who's been starting to catch up quickly. And I think that's why Person's been really starting to challenge Spear is Adam Recker. Recker's coming. He's right there behind the 8 machine, and he is starting to really get closer and closer to the back end of Person here. So I would definitely expect that Spear and Person both have a little bit of a fire lit underneath them right now to get moving. Otherwise, they're going to get hounded by this 11.
Right now you see Recker trying some different lines, getting a little bit more of a diamond line down to see if that works to close up the gap. The answer is not for the time being. But they are both sending it pretty hard. Person and Recker, both of them missing the bottom that time.
I'll tell you, I got to say, Recker's looking probably better than I've ever seen him. He's top 5 speeds easily right now. Hopefully he just doesn't overdrive it. When you see you start to lick your lips, we do have a side-by-side battle going on a little bit further back, I do believe for 6th place. Hebert under fire from Wolf right now.
There's also this battle you just seen there. Rincon trying to battle alongside Tony Ratliff. So a couple different groupings. Thomas Wolf, though, couldn't make it work on the outside line. Here's the look back to the air grouping. Tony Ratliff, George Rincon lined up for the time being. Now keep in mind in the Contender Series, lots of drivers will talk about trying to find the clean air by using that second groove, and that's what some of the drivers seem to be doing here tonight.
Yeah, for sure. And I think a lot of we've kind of been slowly introduced to a little bit of a different that kind of overhaul. I think a lot of those changes that we're probably going to see, we might have already seen some of them being implemented a little bit, because we've seen that the top and middle groove work a little bit better at some of these tracks that you would not expect it to. So I'm seeing that for sure. One thing I got to brag on a little bit, Tony Ratliff. Look at the speed he's showing right now. This guy started in 12th place. He's been one of the best passers we've seen so far here tonight. He's up to 8th. that's a big gain for him. 4 positions already.
Darren Bruce in that consistency when it comes to pace gain. Here's a look at Greg Ratliff. Meanwhile, he's running 28.5s up at the front. Here's the thing. Lance Ripka is starting to chip away at the gap again. He's gained about a 10th this lap.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully, Greg can utilize that clean air. Just hold off Buckshot. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, I'm just looking at the fuel window from what I was told before the race. 55 to 60 laps is about as much as we can make it on a on fuel. So I do suspect that if Ratliff can hold on for another 35 to 40 laps, he's going to be okay. But that is a long time here at Phoenix, considering. I mean. The lap times around this place, 28 to 29 seconds at the moment.
So expecting things to get pretty tight amongst the race leaders pretty soon. Ripka is better in 1 and 2 for the time being, although it is sending it a little bit more deeper as you see with the racing line. Spear continuing to use a bit of the second group and diamonding to the first in front of Bernard Person. They are starting to compress this grouping though, because Hebert and Wolf have both closed up pretty significantly. Although Thomas Wolf just about knocked the 25's back bumper in.
Oh, no. He's probably a little bit frustrated with the 25. I think Wolf's like, hey, you're new to here. I don't know if you know this, but I'm one of the best in here. Could you get out of my way? And the 25's not really cooperating. They've been battling quite a bit, and I think Wolf's just been having a little bit of a time getting by this 25. And you could as well see, I think that 25 might be struggling a little bit as well. I'll tell you who's not struggling, Jason Spear. He, seems slow compared to Person and Wrecker, and he was. I think that was for a reason. I think that was by design. I feel like Spear has gotten so good at running on the long run, and he knows exactly what he's doing.
Indeed, right now, just under 4 seconds back of the race leaders for the time being, still running imperishable to first and second. That mid-run seems to be on par with the race leaders for the time being, at least, compared to your top 2. Of note, Tony Ratliff is also trying to close up to this grouping. A bit of squabbling starting to pop up at the back of the pack as well behind him. Rincon and Michael Walker the second amongst those you see swapping on the pylon. That's because Walker the second, he's underneath the 28, but still can't get the run done, even though Rincon nearly knocks the wall down.
Yeah, William Gay got a little bit squirrely as well there. Almost got down into Michael Walker. I think probably reacting to Rincon hitting the wall. So this could be possibly a site of contention right here, a site of a possible accident. Hope not, but that could easily happen. We'll have to keep an eye on this battle as Rincon still trying to hold off Michael Walker. Of course, this is for that 10th place position as Rincon gets an excellent run up on the top side. He gets clear of Walker.
Up to the top side goes Gay as well in the midst of all of this. Yeah, Todd Gilly also watching along the Toad Man, looking to see if he can follow a line, and it looks like William Gay is that line. Michael Walker the second just couldn't get the runs he was looking for on the inside with the shorter distance around because that pinch off on exit.
Yeah, it really looks like that top line it's really strong here tonight. I'm liking what I'm seeing. It's kind of surprising. Usually the best way around this place and all the other vehicles is running kind of around the bottom. But I think these Xfinity cars really like it when you're able to really power off on the top.
Seen that really working out well for a lot of the drivers. Rincon's using it as a defensive line more so at this point. It's been working out fairly well, even though he's been very close to going too quick on exit and nearly knocking the wall down.
Yeah, William Gay and Rincon almost got together a little bit there. They're definitely fighting hard back here. I mean, this is like they're fighting for the win. As, of course, Gay trying to battle here with the Rincon. And while all this is going on, we, of course, still have another battle that's going on at the same exact time. That's for, of course, that 6th and 7th position. Tony Ratliff has caught up, actually, to those positions. So there's fighting all over this racetrack right now.
All sorts of battling across the field, all while Tony Ratliff, watching behind Thomas Wolff in all this, has closed up the gap. It's a couple seconds behind a few laps ago. But right now, about halfway to this field run, so far so clean for the most part. Greg Ratliff hasn't given up the lead. Lance Ripka's kept it close, though. And there was an interesting quote that came out of the truck race that the series held just a couple days ago as they approached their finale. Jason Spears said, Lance shows us every week what we have to do to win. We just don't execute like he does, especially when it comes to what came into play, to paraphrase, the pit road strategy.
Yeah, that's definitely very interesting. A lot of these guys recognize how good Ripka is, and they just really want to try to see if they can replicate it. But it's easier said than done. I mean, it's execution. It's all about that, and it's also execution on pit road, as you kind of mentioned. And that's not just strategy. That's execution, nailing the stop and being perfect on about everything. As the battle has been heating up even more here for this 10th place position, George Rincon, I should say, is trying to hold off William Gay as well as Michael Walker trying to fight as well. This battle has gotten even hotter as Eric Whiting has entered the fray.
Eric Whiting trying to find a way to get himself involved in the midst of all this. It looks like Todd Gilly doesn't want to be in contact. Rincon and Gay make contact. William Gay takes the spot. Rincon loses momentum, but still keeps the top side even with the argy-bargy there.
Yeah, that was definitely close. Those guys were in the center of the corner. I'm surprised we didn't see some cars going around, but these Xfinity cars seem like they're handling pretty good here tonight. I got to say, these cars look like they're more tight than anything. I was kind of wondering, usually this track, getting back to the gas is kind of a worry that could cause you to get loose if you're not gradual with it, but it seems like these guys are trending more to the tight side.
Especially with the flare for the setup right now. We're seeing a lot of drivers sliding up the circuit. A lot of drivers having to back out of the throttle here. Already 1 second of fall off in 35 laps. Side by side, Eric Whiting now alongside Gilly. There's the good example. Gilly's in the wall.
I think the lap before, Gilly had touched the wall once. And one thing about it, if you touched it once, you're probably going to hit it again. And look at that. That's some pretty substantial damage along that Kalu Glass machine.
Going to have to deal with it for much of the rest of the way there with all that fender flare and all that fender damage. Side by side yet again. Michael Walker just cannot find a way around Rincon. Rincon's not making too many mistakes. It looks like this time he had the better run though on the inside. Rincon trying to cross him up. Can't get alongside.
Yeah, it's definitely just been pretty crazy back here, and we're not. A lot of people are probably looking at this like you guys are looking back at the back of the pack. But this is where all the action's at. These guys are all battling hard. They want to have a good finish for the end of this season. I think it's kind of what's going through their minds.
Take a look at the 55 machine. That's Jason Ratliff. Third of the Ratliffs joining in for the first time here tonight. Right now, he's now in the fray for all things. Been running at the back of the field all race, and now has picked up a couple positions in the past couple laps here as the 55 finds a little consistency.
Yeah, 100%. Looking at Tony Ratliff as well, he's caught up to Thomas Wolff once again. This battle is starting to get very, very close. Darren Bruce has now entered the battle for the top 9. So this is definitely getting very, very interesting as Hebert, of course, is going to have to contend with Wolff once again.
Still no changes amongst this grouping in the past while or so. And depending on when these drivers elect to pit, that's going to be a major difference on the strategies here possibly, but also in terms of how they run. Thomas Wolff able to get alongside and pass by the 25. No. James Hebert able to keep his foot on the outside, but Thomas Wolff does not want to use the dog leg.
Yeah, I can't really blame him. I mean, using that dog leg really uses up a lot more resources, I do believe it. I think it burns the tires up a little bit more. I don't know if it's still the case, but I know before, if you use that dog leg, it can cause some damage as these guys are starting to get looking like they want to maybe get physical when we're only on lap 40.
Still alongside, and Thomas Wolf clears. Able to pass on by. Tony Ratliff sees a chance to move up. Darren Bruce waiting in the wings in case things heat up. And there's the heating up moment alongside. 25 outside, 6 inside.
I got to imagine that Thomas Wolf can't be happy right now because I feel like he used a lot of resources to get by the 25. But then again, I think that speaks to how hard it is to pass at this racetrack. I mean, Greg Ratliff has held on to the lead this entire time as well. What can Wolf do? As we see Tony Ratliff, of course, battling now side by side with Hebert, trying to get by.
Still not able to fully rotate on by, though. That outside just makes it so difficult to clear unless there's a mistake like that one. Hebert hits the wall. The 6 still keeps it alongside. And Tony Ratliff, able to get to the gas sooner, clears on by.
Yeah, Tony finally able to get by. Oof, not quite clear. You can tell Hebert he wants it so bad. And just unfortunate, not able to get side by side with Tony Ratliff again. Oh, no, Ratliff having an issue off of turn number 2. And another issue there. That was a technical one.
Yeah, that could have been pretty rough if that was too close there. But for the most part, things look settled out there outside of this. Now Darren Bruce looking to drop the 25 down to 9th. Black Descendant makes it stick. And James Hebert drops his way back to 9th despite the crossover attempt. And now he's turning him.
Oh, no.
Darren Bruce gets turned down the back straightaway. Caution flag is out for the first time tonight.
Darren Bruce not going to be too happy about that. As he kicks it around, is going to get back going in his Ford. Not too much damage. Let's take a look back at the replay.
And
crossover attempt, I do believe.
Kept his foot in though and didn't want to check up.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. I think Hebert tried to cross him back over and didn't. He just went up the track and tagged the left rear right there. Boom. Just sent Darren Bruce around. Luckily for Darren, not a hard hit.
But in turn, Bruce does have a decent amount of damage here as a result of that contact. And because of the time of the caution flag, have some time to get some repairs at least. Yeah, when you're turning the wheel this much, this is not a good sign.
Oh, wow. Yeah, 100%. I think he probably had that gas pedal mashed pretty hard, and he was turning the wheel. And unfortunately, the more you turn the wheel, a lot of times, the less you turn, actually.
So more pit stops. Well, our first, should say, of the race. Expecting 4 tires for just about the entire field. Of note, George Dibble getting the lucky dog. This caution flag. He is the only driver to lose a lap during the course of the run. So our first pit stops underway for the race today here on Grid Vision. Let's take a quick step aside. When we come back, we'll break down how things are looking after the third of the way complete. You're watching Grid Vision for RGR in the chase for the Kiowa Glass Cup.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Grid Vision for coverage of RGR in the chase for the Kyle Glass Cup. Justin Prince, Brian Britt, alongside Austin Darbyshire producing. So we get set to go back underway with about 118 laps to go. Greg Ratliff, Lance Ripka, alongside for the restart. Spear and Wrecker, Wolf and Tony Ratliff, Hebert in person, a bunch of your top runners. All set to get back underway as we reach the restart zone. Green flags out. Back underway, and everybody had a bit of a delay there as the battle's on for second.
Yeah, definitely. Greg Ratliff, pretty good restart, but of course, really good restart there from Jason Spear, who was able to get side by side with, of course, Lance Ripka. Oh, Spear getting a little bit tight, gets out of the gas, gets a little bit loose as well. We see some contact with the wall further back as we see battling all over this racetrack. Of course, Thomas Wolfe trying to hold off Tony Ratliff, who was entered the top 5.
Tony Ratliff trying to make the move on the inside. Thomas Wolfe keeps it to the door. Can't do so, though, fully, as Tony Ratliff, up to the highest point he's been in the top 5 for the first time. But Thomas Wolfe is not making it easy with the crossover.
Yeah, Thomas Wolfe, of course, even though he mathematically has no chance at a championship, I think he just wants to win this race, as we see a couple guys there kind of scrape the wall.
And with a single file out for the time being, in fact, the entire field single filed out. And we're already seeing the exact same thing as the first run. Top 2 breakaway, Jason Spear leads the parade for third on back. Right now, it's just the top 2 have brilliant short run speed.
No, they definitely do. I mean, you see 27.6s from both of those guys. No one in the rest of the field is really even close to that. They're all about 0.2 slower. So Greg and Buckshot seem like they have it all figured out. As here comes Thomas Wolfe, though, going to see if he could possibly challenge the 11 of Adam Wrecker. So Wolfe is coming.
Wolfe not able to find a way inside fully yet. Does he take the dog leg for the cut down? No. Most drivers who avoided using the dog leg at all tonight. But it looks like Wolfe already showcasing that he wants to go. Wrecker already playing defensive.
And that is really interesting. I mean, usually in other cars, we see that dog leg in use a lot more. But I just feel like a lot of these guys just don't want to risk it. Maybe if it causes some maybe disastrous effects on the tires, possibly.
Possibly with what we've seen here today.
Well, here comes Tony. Tony trying to get to the inside of the 91. Tony Ratliff is very, very determined. As there goes Thomas Wolfe. He shows the nose. He's going to send it on Adam Wrecker.
Side by side now for the 4th position. Wolfe wants to find a way around the 11. Wrecker giving plenty of space, but Adam Wrecker still is quicker on the exits.
Yeah, Wrecker has been really, really good here tonight. This, like I said earlier, this is probably one of his best races that he's had this season. I mean, just looks fast. And Wolfe's failure at getting by Wrecker is going to open him back up for Tony Ratliff. Ratliff is going to jump on this as well as you see Bernard Person. So this is going to get hairy.
Getting really tight in terms of some of these quarter panels. Rincon of note alongside Hebert as well. A lot of shuffling starting to flare up around the field. Rincon keeps it to the inside this time. Remember, he spent much of the last run outside.
Yeah, I'm wondering if maybe he looked at the tire wear and realized something. Just trying to change it up a little bit. I think that caution kind of allowed these guys to reshuffle the deck in a lot of ways. And haven't even talked about it, though, about how the fuel kind of settles because of that impromptu caution. It's looking like it's going to be a close to make it one stop from here. These guys are pretty much going to be on fumes by the end of this race if it stays green. As we see Jason Spear, of course, trying to hold off Adam Recker. Greg Ratliff and Lance Ripka have still just been driving away. They're over 2 seconds out now. 2.5 seconds to be exact.
You're identical to what we've seen the last run. Spear trying to still hold off the full pack. No one able to get alongside of them. Of note, William Gay and Darren Bruce are once still side by side at the back of the pack you see there in the queue. So a lot of drivers trying to find ways to move ahead here cleanly.
Well, Gay had actually hit the wall, and that's kind of what lined him up, or lined Darren to be able to get by him here. So it looks like that has settled itself out. Darren Bruce up to 11th, so he's looking to recover. Looked very quick before that accident.
That in turn has cost him a little bit of time to the rest of the grouping right now in main pack. The more they shuffle like that. You mentioned the race leaders pulling away by now near 3 seconds. Ripka and Greg Ratliff are nearly line-to-line identical. Just not been able to break away.
Yeah, I mean, they're hitting very, very similar laps. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised that they've been learning from one another. I mean, Greg, of course, always been a very good on the short run type driver, and I think both of these guys may have been working together. Last time by, of course, Ripka was a little bit faster. But then again, their lap times are starting to equalize with what everybody else has been hitting. So have they maybe overextended? We'll have to see how that kind of plays out.
It's just a matter of seeing how this breaks down as the race progresses tonight. We're already about a quarter of the way through the fuel run. Contact to the wall. James Hebert right in front of several cars. That's caused a major queue to line up. Significant damage to the 25. Rincon wants to go.
Yeah, Rincon, of course, like you said before, has been really using that bottom side a lot more here. It doesn't look like he's as used to doing it. But he is definitely bound and determined to see if he could possibly get by this 25 as we have some other drivers lined up behind. Michael Walker, of course, trying to make something happen here. You see Darren Bruce. Bruce, I think, has got one thing on his mind, and that is get by these drivers and get back to where he was.
And in turn, when you make a mistake, that quickly can get people just wanting to go, go, go. Problem is, that's not so easy to do in practice. We've already just seen the drivers line back up right behind the 25, even with contact to the wall.
Yeah, it's just so hard to pass at this track. I mean, I assume that a lot of these guys, even though we're only on lap 65, a lot of these guys are probably getting incredibly frustrated right now because, I mean, it just seems like it's incredibly difficult to pass. I mean, it's not easy. It's a work in progress. You pretty much have to wait till someone makes a mistake. As there goes, looks like William Gay does manage to make a pass, as well as, I think, Todd Gilly. So Michael Walker struggling a little bit there. He falls back to 14th. He lost quite a bit of positions there.
Lost a lot of time in turn because of that situation, but Michael Walker II's been under a lot of pressure from the get-go. We've seen him trying to fight a fair bit in the first run. This run, everyone drop kicking him back. There's James Hebert, meanwhile. That's now up to the 8th position, still holding on. He is really burning up that right front tire. You can already tell by the line.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not sure what car he's used to driving, but he definitely seems like Phoenix I mean, look at that. You can see right there how much wheel he's got in this race car. He is putting a lot in there, and I think that's what's causing a lot of his handling woes.
In turn, pace right now for him is comparable to the leader for now, is the key word. We've seen the fall off come pretty quickly. Up at the front, the gap is still about 0.2 of a second between the leaders. That hasn't changed. Jason Spear, he's still almost 4 seconds back around the exact same point of the run last time.
Yeah, this is definitely very, very interesting. I saw Greg Ratliff and Buckshot Ripka. They looked like they were equaling out lap time wise to the guys behind them, but now that is no longer the case. They are steadily pulling away. I mean, 28.5 from both Buckshot and Greg Ratliff. Jason Spear hit a 7. Adam Recker hit a 6. Wolf hit a 7. I mean, these guys are, it looks like that top 2 is just on another level. I think they just have this place figured out.
Yeah, in terms of the lap times for reference, they're 0.2 quicker compared to this grouping you see on screen. That's how consistent they've been compared to those in this pack. Thomas Wolf is trying to find some speed on the bottom of the racetrack, not working. Adam Recker, same right now to be able to try and make passes work. It just seems difficult unless you get a lot of that experience down to get speed at a track like this.
And you also had mentioned something about clean versus dirty air. Well, I mean, Greg Ratliff and Buckshot Ripka have had some of the cleanest air as well. So, I mean, that could as well have something to do with this. Look at this big battle we got going on back here. Of course, I mean, I'll tell you, this has been kind of an upside-down race today, Justin. Most of the time when we're watching races, we're watching the front. We've been watching these guys back here on the edge of the top 10 all night long because this is where the interesting racing is happening.
We already know the championship. We talked about it off the top. Already locked in for Lance Ripka with the start for today. But for many drivers, the battle's still on to try and get a good result to end off the season, get some good points, likely depending on if they're some of the full-time drivers. Like technically, for example, you're talking about Adam Recker. He's missed a couple races, has a chance to get to the top 5 in points depending on the tonight. Needs some luck, though, obviously, with Greg Ratliff. You have Tony Ratliff trying to keep up with in front of Greg in the points. There's a lot of shuffling cards here.
No, there definitely is. You're definitely 100% right. I think a lot of these guys are aiming to possibly make have a good night, and a lot of this is kind of a stepping off point as well for the next season. You know, they want to continue to have that momentum, and a good way to do that is to have a good finish at the end of the season. Tell you what, I mean, I got to brag more on Adam Recker. This guy looks like he's got this place figured out as well. I think if he was able to get by Jason Spear, he would probably take off. I mean, he looks incredibly fast, but it's just so hard to pass. And I think that has been the feature, the story of the night, essentially.
We've seen that really flare out throughout the night. About halfway through the field run for reference, already within about 15 laps or so of the halfway point of the race. And at this point, you already know the strategy is pretty simple. Run it until it's dry on gas at this point. It's Phoenix after all. But in terms of the mileage in of itself, it could get interesting with the timing of when they have to pit here, because you're talking about needing to go the full 60.
Well, that's the thing is can you make it 60? When I talked to the guys, I popped up there before the race, and I was like, hey, guys, what does the fuel situation look like? And I heard from Todd Gilly, he's like 56 laps. I heard from another driver, he was like 59 laps. That's what I'm showing. And so it's just depending, I'd say, on the driver. So it seems like it's varying quite a bit. And 60, I just kind of put that, I thought that might be an attainable number. But if they have to go one more lap than that, I don't think it's possible. They're starting to get really racy back here. Version on 3 wide as Todd Gilly making a run for the top 10.
And Gilly, amongst those who've tried to keep this race pretty quiet. We've already seen him be pretty wild when he hit the wall, obviously. Redcon with a big squeeze, not able to allow the run And in turn, Rincon keeps the 10th spot.
Yeah, definitely an awesome race going on. And Rincon's been doing this successfully, I'd say, all race long. He's been really, really good at defending on that top and making it incredibly difficult to pass. So a lot of these guys probably not too happy with these, with him. Hopefully they have a pretty good break in between seasons here in the RGR series. Oh, really loose condition there from Todd Gilly. Wow.
And now Gilly misses the bottom in 3 and 4. Jason Ratliff in turn nearly falls him up the racetrack. Allows them to regroup for the time being. But was about to say, when it comes to a track like this here too, it takes a long while to get that experience down, as we touched upon. Keep in mind, they've already lapped George Dibble a second time. He's 1 lap down again. But it takes a lot of throttle control in the first place, and that's why we've seen especially Ripka as a championship contender with Greg Ratliff, when he's been in races, do really well in the top 5 at the minimum.
Yeah, no, I definitely can attest to that. I think he's got this place figured out. He knows the marks that he's got to look for. I mean, of course, there's a lot of markings on these walls. There's some, brake markers, if you will, those cones that you can use. It's very important that that's what comes to that experience, to know what to look for. You have to have those reference points to figure this place out. And another thing we haven't mentioned is both ends of this racetrack are different as well. I mean, this is not a standard oval where it's almost identical on both sides. This place is a incredibly unique racetrack.
Yeah, and it's had a lot of configurations over the years. The dog leg, just about 15, 20 years ago, used to be all grass. But obviously, grass is expensive to maintain, so that turned to pavement. And in turn, the configuration that people keep forgetting about, why it's not the start and finish line down this straightaway now that we see the drivers down the back currently. Remember, the sun used to shine directly on that section and still does. They moved the start and finish line basically to out of what's now turn 4, because that puts the fans in the shade, because, well, do you want fans cooking in 105-degree temperatures in Phoenix?
Yeah, I never thought about that. That's definitely interesting. So that's definitely some context to the situation I think a lot of race fans don't know.
And in turn, it's put on a solid product in terms of the racetrack and the infrastructure in turn. It's why, when you think about it, why it became the championship host. You want your best infrastructure in one of your biggest markets to be showcased, like we've seen with Phoenix. We've seen that for many years with Homestead Miami, and we're seeing that these days with Phoenix, but it becomes the question, obviously, in the future. I know there's a lot of talk on the updated California circuit likely to be potentially a championship host. You can see a lot
I hadn't
of
heard
shuffle
that.
soon. I mean, I know that was a rumor about 4 or 5 years before they announced the actual change.
Of course, I do want to remind our audience, we have reached the halfway point now. So still just, of course, half the race complete, halfway to go. As Greg Ratliff has led every single lap.
It's been domination, to say the very least, here today, again, for the number 5. Best run for him up at the front all season. We've seen last time out he had speed to run up front at Kansas, eventually finished 14th after speeding troubles. Hasn't gotten a win yet, though. In fact, this is the most amount of laps for him he's led in an entire race. And that's here tonight.
I mean, we've even talked about it, too. He's been the best qualifier. I mean, was it 5 out of 12 races? I mean, that's a little less than 50%. I mean, that's an awesome statistic to have. But, he just hasn't been able to put a whole race together. I mean, he's shown good race pace. So I think he's going to do it. I hope he does it this time around. Only bad thing is we talked about that comment that was mentioned in, about Ripka in that truck race, that he shows these guys what they should do, but they can't seem to execute it. Of course, Ripka, he's going to probably execute very, very well on pit road. That puts the pressure on Greg Ratliff. He cannot make a mistake because Ripka's going to be right there.
Especially with the potential possibility they pit on the same lap with the need to get to the finish of this race on gas. With them already 42 laps in, you added about 20 laps. You're talking about just being inside the window here. You have a give or take maybe of 2 laps at best on flexibility.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the flexibility is going to look like. I mean, like I said, that 55 to 60 lap margin that I mentioned earlier, that is very it's a vague kind of margin. I don't know if 60 is even attainable, and if it's not, then these guys can't make it. But I would assume they know more than us. I guarantee you, Greg Ratliff and Buckshot Ripka are looking at the data right now. But one thing as well, they have not been saving in the slightest. They have been driving away from the rest of the field all race long. So I just don't think they're really in save mode at all. And you know, they've steadily been over a tenth faster than the rest of the field and have now pulled out to 5.6 seconds. I mean, almost 6 seconds.
Jason Spear in all of this is still holding on to the third spot. He's been consistently the leader of this main grouping. It's now splintered off. Thomas Wolfe has fallen off. Bernard Person the same. James Hubert's fallen off a fair bit. Darren Bruce fallen off a lot of bit. And that's where that long run pace really starts to settle on in for some of these drivers. The difference between them is 3/4 tenths a lap, which is huge.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, and like I said earlier, this track is so easy to overdrive. I mean, you know, very easy to just send it into the corner, but really exit is so important here, and you cannot abuse these tires. And I think a lot of these guys are very much learning that lesson. I gotta brag on Tony Ratliff again here. Look at the speed he's showing on the long run right now. He last time by was, I think, the second fastest car on the track. This guy looks like he's got it figured out. I mean, I would not be surprised that Greg and Tony have been sharing notes here. And as well, Tony started in 12th place. Look at this awesome job that the 6 is doing here tonight.
It's been that way all throughout the night in terms of the run. He's been very solid on the short tracks all season as well. Fair amount of steering in the midst of 3 and 4, but for the most part, has kept up decent pace to his competitors. 28.8 last time by. He is within about half a tenth per lap on the 5-lap average to the leaders.
Yeah, he's been doing great. And the thing is this is not the only race we've seen really hints of the great performances. I mean, Tony's in the last few races has looked really, really good. So you could see a lot of these guys have been heating up late in this season. And I think that inspires a lot of hope, you know, a lot of confidence in these drivers for the next season. I mean, that's big. That's big, Justin. I mean, when you come into when you kind of end the season and you feel like you've grown a lot, you go into next season and you feel like you could do anything.
Sometimes it's good to be the Superman. Sometimes it's good to be able to keep that in check. So far, seeing the pace start to chip away a little bit for Jason Spear compared to the race leaders, but is there enough time to even get too close? Of note, Ripka is starting to pick back up the pace again compared to the 5. We are right now about 11 laps away from the pit window. And guess what? About 11 laps away for the top of the estimated fuel tank.
Yeah. So if they can make it, it's going to be really, really close. Let's see. Last time by, they traded. Greg Ratliff actually was faster that time. So I think these guys were just cooling their tires off. I think Greg was cooling his tires off, and then Ripka, of course, was cooling his off. So I think they're just kind of trading that. I don't really think these guys are trying to challenge each other very much, to be honest with you. I feel like they're kind of cutting each other some breaks. I think that the real race is going to start after this pit stop between these two.
We'll see how they charge into the pit lane pretty soon. And with everyone knowing the fuel number at stake, no one's electing to roll the dice on strategy here. Keep in mind, when it comes to Phoenix, you can lose up to a couple laps potentially on the pit stop here, depending on where you're on the circuit. That's why we usually see the normal strat go as long as you can, because you never know when we have the same situation we seen the last time.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and we haven't really talked a whole lot about that. I mean, of course, because of the different configuration with the start finish line being where it is, the pit road entry is, it's a long pit road. I mean, you're pacing for quite a bit. So that's definitely a big factor that you have to consider when you're going to pit. I mean, so that's definitely something, and also more chances to speed as well and get a penalty. Here comes Darren Bruce to pit road. A little bit of a different call here from him.
Yeah, not sure about the timing of this because Darren Bruce can't make it on gas from here. And we'll see if this works out on his strategy or whatever idea he has there, because he's essentially now in a spot where he's going to have an extra pit stop the rest of the way to make it in theory.
Tony Ratliff has made it up to 4th place. He got by Adam Recker now. But yeah, that is telling. I'm wondering why Darren came down. Was it out of necessity? As I mentioned, the lower end of the fuel window is 55 or 56, somewhere in there. I think we're getting ready to find out what the actual limit is very soon.
The gap is growing for the race lead, by the way. Ripka is starting to fall off a fair bit here in the midst of the strategy. Right now, about a 10th and a half lost last time by, and they're about to reach a lot of lap traffic. That's not going to make it easy here. 10th all the way to about 15th is just up the track.
That's right. Eric Whiting, of course, in 15th right now is within sight. These guys are catching them very quickly. And the thing is that lap traffic's not exactly playing nice with each other. They're racing a little bit. I do believe I see some side-by-side. There was for a moment, I think Jason Ratliff and Adam Kulikowski were battling just a moment there.
Yeah. Of note,
Darren Bruce.
Yes. Darren Bruce is amongst those trying to get through quickly on the tires. Keep in mind, he's running about a second quicker already after the pit stop compared to these in fast laps, about 2 seconds quicker on fresh tires. In turn, though, the top two are now within about 5 car lengths, the back end of the 55, as well as the back end of the 13.
Yeah, this is definitely curious. Green flag pit stops. Adam Recker. I think I told you we were going to find out the limit of the gas tank. I think we just found it. There's some more guys coming down.
A lot of drivers here trying something different here with under 65 to go. The leaders have 63 to go at the stripe. Very top of the fuel tank at best here, but a lot of drivers, including Lance Ripka. And the problem is Lance Ripka has a lot of traffic in front of him.
Yeah, and this just shows that I just don't think the fuel tank is as large as we thought it was. Here comes Greg Ratliff, I do believe. No, he's staying out again. So Greg somehow has been a little bit better on fuel saving, or is this just a desperate call from Lance Ripka? This is odd. I don't. But then again, think about this. I remember Greg Ratliff has had issues in the past where he's actually ran out of gas. I hope Greg gets to pit road in time.
Keep in mind, these drivers now about 59, 60 laps into the run. Here comes Greg. Greg Ratliff. That is very quick. I am not sure about that one, but it looks like he's okay on speed limit. He got within the commitment cone. The speed limit cone is actually fairly deep into the pit wall.
Oh,
and
Kulikowski
spins out.
Recognize that car anywhere. No caution.
Oh, this is not a good spot to be spun the wrong way around either.
Yeah, bad entry. This is just a scary entry to pit road right here that could cause some issues. He's going to turn around. This is going to cause a caution. This is definitely going to. There it is.
Caution flag is out. And now how does the field get sorted is a big question. I understand the need to turn around there, but he used a lot of space to turn around.
Yeah, he did.
And he still needs to go down pit road.
Yeah, he should have definitely he committed to pitting. He should have just kept on and tried to get onto pit road, but I just think that I don't know. I just don't know what that was all about, or maybe just a lack of awareness. But unfortunately, that's going to change everything. That's going to give Michael Walker the lead right now. So they're going to take a look back at Kulikowski's incident.
Michael Walker the second still has yet to pit. Pit road's not open yet. This is the spin. He wasn't actually pitting yet,
Yeah.
but he had pitted a lap ago, so he was on a cold tires hearing. And then he stayed down here for a fair bit and waited to see, can I turn around?
I think he still could have backed up here. I think if he had backed up, it would have maybe not triggered a caution, but instead he tried to turn around in a little bit of a wide arc that led to that caution. And but that is definitely interesting, to say the least. Is some drivers, if they stay out, are not going to be able to make it. So we might see some guys peel down pit road. I know Buckshot Ripka, he had pitted earlier. He is not good on gas at the end of this race. I don't think Greg Ratliff is either. Maybe, I don't know. This is close.
Better clutch and coast is the understatement of the day. And a lot of the drivers who went for the undercut elect to come on down and top off on gas. There is a fair amount of tire sets available as well. 5 tire sets available in the pits. Well more than enough to make it on tires for the race. One driver does have to take the wave around the 55, Jason Ratliff, and the rest of the field, well, is mixed up in terms of the laps. So a lot to talk about here. We'll take a quick step aside. The run to the finish coming up after this. You're watching Grid Vision.
Racing isn't easy.
Welcome back, everyone, to Grid Vision for coverage of today's action, as I am not sure why drivers are going full throttle around the racetrack here, because half the field is not up to speed, half the field is. Apparently the pace car is in. What is going on here?
I have no idea. This is definitely very interesting. I saw the pace car lights were out, so I would assume. And there's the green flag. I think we're going to see some black flags here.
Green flag is out in 1 and 2. Hello?
Yeah, I think we should see black flags here, considering these guys went way before the guy could restart zone.
I am not sure what we just seen outside of Buckshot Ripka losing a lot of time to Greg Ratliff with all this. It's almost like somebody missed the memo where this green flag was supposed to be with the pace. I don't understand this.
Your guess is as good as mine. And, of course, this has led to a lot of spreading out on the racetrack. Greg Ratliff, of course, about 2.7 seconds out in front of Buckshot Ripka. Of course, Tony Ratliff, he's gotten up to third. He is 4.3 seconds behind Buckshot. So this is quite a spread out top 3 right now. Of course, William Gay, he's about a second back from Tony at the moment. So this is interesting. Bernard Person, of course, he's about 2/10 back. So he is, of course, in contention for maybe getting a spot here if he can get by William Gay.
The only thing I can think about here is Jason Ratliff was the one car in line for the wave around. I almost feel like that Greg Ratliff didn't know that he needed to also already pass the pace car or something. for them to be told, okay, let's pass the pace car. The lights are off. It's time to floor it.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. You would think, I don't know whether they have the rules set to where you have to go in the Geico restart zone. That's definitely very, very curious. Of course, there is still, Greg's slowing down a little bit here. Yellow flag
And
is out.
caution. It looks like they have now thrown the caution flag after 5-6 laps of this, and obviously there's a discussion probably going on involving what just happened.
Yeah, I would assume that's exactly what happened. I think they probably were in there. A lot of drivers very confused as to that restart.
I mean, it's also it's unfair when you think about the distance between some of these cars. Now let's try and regroup them. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll see what the answer is to the question, what just happened?
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back, everyone, to today's coverage of RGR. After a very confusing sequence, here's the understanding after discussing things with race control and with race officials. From the understanding here is the race leaders all got the wave around to get the one to go along with the wave around car, the 55 of Jason Ratliff, and in turn, that's why we've seen the separation there. They call it a glitch in the matrix in the official ruling. In turn, as a group, the entire field elected to have the caution thrown because they didn't want the race to end with that basically being the result there, here, Brian.
Yeah, I respect that. I definitely respect that decision. I mean, they want to see this race get, this be a race and not be determined by some sort of glitch like that. So I definitely understand and can't wait to see how this turns out. I mean, we got a lot of drivers that are on newer tires. Some guys I think just maybe be able to make the end of the race here on gas because of that whole issue.
As we get the one-to-go signal here, this regroups things a bit of note. A couple drivers, Jason Hebert and George Rincon, both topped off as well. Todd Gilly got the lucky dog from this caution. Eric Whiten's the one driver, one lap down. Greg Ratliff is still the leader. Lance Ripka in second, Tony Ratliff and William Gay still the top four. Person, Walker the second, Wolf, Bruce, Spear, and Wrecker, your top 10. So we're inside 50 laps to go on the season. Greg Ratliff in control. Green flag is out, back on her way. And Buckshot Ripka nearly jumped it with the 5, waiting yet again.
Yeah, 5. He waited until the absolute last possible moment to go there, trying to catch Buckshot Ripka off guard. So definitely some successful tactics from Greg Ratliff, as he, of course, is in control of the race once again. Let's see if the guys that topped off or took new tires can make something happen. As we see a hornet's nest, Michael Walker almost having some contact there with Thomas Wolf. Wolf driving through the field right now, trying to at least.
Still Munstall's trying to shuffle quickly as Thomas Wolf. He's now in the back bumper of Bernard Person. And up into the wall he goes.
Definitely going to scrape some of the pink off of that race car, and looks like he did lose some momentum, but not too much. Didn't lose any positions off of that. As one driver I think is going to really want to keep an eye on is going to be Adam Recker. He was the top 5 car all night long. He's of course worked his way back up into 9th. I think he's on fresher equipment. Let's see what the 11 can do. The only bad thing is it is so hard to pass.
Seen the difficulty of that all night long, where the best way to pass is hope that your opponent hits the wall. And even then, that's not guaranteed. Look what we've seen tonight. Right now, Jason Spear-Munstall is trying to pick up some ground. Remember, he's on the top-off strategy. But that caution obviously makes it a lot more easier to make it on fuel.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that even the guys that were probably question marks before, I think they probably can make it just because of the fuel that was saved under caution. Big condition there from William Gay. My goodness, I thought he was going to hit the inside. Whoa! He gets into Tony Ratliff. They're both sideways. And this is going to be a big accident.
Jason Spear involved. Caution flag is out. Bumper parts are flying. And a lot of contact for Spear and Tony Ratliff and all of that. William Gay tries to drive away from the scene. A lot happened. Let's take a look.
100%. It all started with William Gay. I mean, he kind of got loose, so went down to the inside. Had a very narrow entry into, I do believe, 3 and 4. And as a result of that, got really tight and got up into the 6 of Tony Ratliff. I mean, just really ruined, I wouldn't say ruined, but definitely made a really great day. Probably not be so great here for Tony Ratliff.
In turn, William Gay and Munstall's already down to the pit lane with all that. He's got a black flag, in fact, in Sim. Spear has a meatball flag.
Man, that's unfortunate.
You just can't go that shallow into the entry here at Phoenix. Simple as that.
No, not at all. That's exactly what it was. I mean, William just had gotten he had some handling woes and tried to correct it, and then unfortunately, it ruined the next set of corners, and he should have just, I guess, gave up a little bit of that speed, but I think he was trying to chase it, and unfortunately, it cost someone else worse, I'd say, than it did Tony Ratliff. I mean, unfortunately, he's going to be back in 12th. This is back where he started the race, unfortunately.
And it looks like a lot of drivers electing to come down and get some more tires. Not a surprise here, not just for the fuel, but also even 10 laps of difference on tires is like a cheese grater to these cars. Greg Ratliff just took 2, though. Is that a mistake?
I do not know. That is very, very curious. I think that it's okay. I think that that's okay, just considering that has become a lot more of a viable strategy here as of late. I know in the next gen, for sure, and I've seen it done in the trucks as well. So I don't think this is a bad idea. I think that it used to be that a 2-tire call would have been unheard of, but I don't think he's got a whole lot of wear on his, I would assume, right side or left sides, which he probably took right sides.
Of note, in the midst of all this, you do have the 25 staying out. James Hebert, 10-lap old tires. Is this a smart call?
Probably not. No, I don't think so. I think this is going to back up the field quite a lot. He's going to be, not to pick on him or anything. He's going to be a rolling obstacle. I mean, we've already seen him struggle on the older tires, older equipment. And I think he's going to possibly, I don't know, this could maybe put the the conditions right for another accident. I hope not, as we come to 40 to go.
A lot of fuel saving already from those up at the front, too. So keep that in mind. Darren Bruce elected to get some damage repair done as well during the caution period. He still has some front grille damage. With this caution, there are 15 cars still in the lead lap, including Spear, who's still trying to find a new TV panel.
Yeah.
So looking to be about maybe 40, less than 40 to go when we get back underway here.
That's unfortunate for Spear. Had a great day coming to him. I mean, he was top 5 easy. Might have even been a 3rd place. Unfortunate that happened to him. I'll tell you what, this has actually been fortunate for, or this has been good for, has been Thomas Wolfe. I mean, Wolfe did not look like he had a top 3 chance here tonight, but he might even have a chance to win this thing if he pulls off, if he's able to do something here. I mean, he doesn't have to pass as many people. Can he show the speed that he's known for?
That's a big question here. Again, for the first time tonight, we have a leader that is not Greg Ratliff, or technically Michael Walker the second who led a lap. James Hebert is in control for the restart for the first time today. A long run up to the restart zone. Greg Ratliff second on 2 tires. Lance Ripka is in 3rd. Thomas Wolfe is up to 4th. He's been around the top 10 all night. So 25 in control. It's his first time at the head of the field in this series. Green flag is out. Inside line with a better run. We're backing away as the battle's on for second.
Yeah, this is going to go 3 wide real quick and in a hurry. As you see Thomas Wolfe, he is taking no prisoners right now as he, of course, is able to try to fend off the aid of Bernard Person side by side for second places. You see Ripka trying to see if he could do something against Ratliff. Ratliff on the 2-tire call. Seems like it's working as he gets a big burst of speed.
Greg Ratliff looking like he wanted the car loose. Now he gets inside for the lead. Thomas Wolfe gets alongside and bubbles for 3rd. Thomas Wolfe, very shallow entry, saves it. The fight's on for the point. Greg Ratliff trying to use the bottom. James Hebert trying to block using the outside groove.
Yeah, what a save there for Wolfe. Unfortunately, it cost him a couple spots as he is now under fire from Bernard Person. Todd Gilly up to, look at that, 7th place, side by side for the lead, as the 25 has been really good at defending on that top side, and he is showing that it is hard to pass. Even if you got 10-lap newer tires, it ain't easy.
Oh, still no move quite yet. Some near close calls behind with the wall. Another hard send. That's enough to take the race lead. Lance Ripka nearly follows the 2nd place car into the bumper. Now Ripka back to 2nd. Adam Recker back to 3rd. Thomas Wolfe shuffle to 4th.
What a recovery for Adam Recker. I mean, Recker was all the way back, I do believe, in 9th earlier in this race. Of course, it's been a top 5 car all day long. Now up to 3rd place. Could he get a podium? I think this will be his first podium this season if he's able to keep this up.
So already that 25 letting cars go and dropping back. Todd Gilly, the highest he's been is right now. Todd Gilly's up to 6th.
Yeah, what a great day for the 19. He's got to be happy in that Kailu Glass Ford. Definitely a fantastic performance from him. As it looks like Hebert's still having some struggles. Look at the lap time difference here. This is why you don't stay out on old tires at this track. I mean, 28.5 versus 27.7. I mean, this is almost a second of difference.
A lot of shuffling in the back as well for Michael Walker. He's trying outside to get around the 25. Tony Ratliff nearly misses the whole bottom and middle. That checked him up a fair bit, nearly hitting the fender. George Rencon paints the wall, trying to get around Darren Bruce as Bruce tries to send as well.
You got to know Tony's probably a little bit upset anyway right now, and he's probably not driving with the, I'd say probably the calmest of minds right now, but he's definitely trying to recover. As wow, this 25 is definitely causing a lot of obstacles and a lot of opportunities for a crash, and no fault of his own. He's just on old tires. I mean, Michael Walker trying to send to get by. I think this is pretty much a race to get by the 25, so you don't get involved with him.
Meanwhile, Greg Ratliff back up to the lead and doing what he's done all night. Lead laps. How long does it last, though? Especially with pressure building up for third, and especially with Lance Ripken keeping it close. We'll have to see with Thomas Wolf making the move.
Yeah, it looks like Wolf is going to make that pass on the 11. I think Adam Recker just did not want to have to battle with the 91. But here comes Bernard Person. I think Recker, something may be going wrong with him. I'm not sure. I don't think he's got any damage or anything, but I think he just maybe got a little intimidated as the battle is starting to heat up once again for this lead. Buckshot has 4 tires. Greg Ratliff has 2. Does that change anything here? We saw Ratliff was able to hold off Buckshot all race long. Now that's a little bit of a variable that might change this battle.
Very likely with how things are shuffling here. Was 2 tires a mistake for Greg Ratliff? Ripka keeps the pressure to the bumper. Under 30 laps to go in the season. Still using the dirty air to his advantage. A bit of sliding now for the 5.
Yeah, that was definitely a really good run off of 2. Let's see if he's able to maintain that. Ratliff very fast off the exit of 4. Wow, that was a really good lap there for Greg Ratliff. I think that was the fastest lap he turned out of everybody that lap at least. So great job so far for Ratliff. I think the car seems to be coming to him. I mean, maybe 2 tires was the way to go. But look at that. Buckshot Ripka catches right back up. This definitely is not over by a long shot.
Should be an intense fight to close out the season. Ripka wanting one more win on the campaign. Greg Ratliff wanting his first here. And if Ripka was to find a way to get the victory, that would tie him for the season lead in victories. Greg has not been able to pick up a win. The closest he's been is a couple second place runs at Homestead and North Wilkesboro.
Yeah, he's been fast enough to do it, but unfortunately it just has not gone his way, and this has been a really great race for him. He qualified on the pole, and he stayed up in the lead all race long pretty much. He's 100% led the most laps, that's for sure. And I do want to apprise, of course, the ladies and gentlemen that are out there viewing this race. Of course, this is the championship race, but essentially the championship's already been wrapped up. Buckshot Ripka is going to hoist that trophy, but does he hoist another trophy with a victory here tonight?
Looking back over to the next pack that's forming up. Tony Ratliff amongst those 2 losing a lot of ground here. Same can be said still of James Hebert on those old tires. Now it's getting to where Michael Walker II's painted the wall, trying to get a run to get outside. How about that?
And the thing is about it is Hebert's kind of equalized with the guys around him. I mean, he's not that much slower than them anymore, I think in a lot of ways. So that's definitely curious as Darren Bruce tries to get around 25. Remember, Darren had issues with this 25 of Hebert before. So will that? Yep, it looks like it might come back to bite us here. Woo. But it looks like Bruce is going to make it by. Crossover attempt from the 25.
Up along on the pass, there goes the run for Darren Bruce tonight. What was that about the equalizing the tires again?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely, well, it's somewhat equalized, I'd say. He's gotten to be a little bit harder to pass than he was, I think, on the opening laps of this stint. As the battle has been really, really going strong here for third. I mean, Wolf and Recker have been going at it.
Still no move back from Recker in the midst of all this. Rather should say Thomas Wolf has played solidly on defense in the midst of this race. Recker just about dead even on pace right now. In fact, last time by 5/1000 of a second the difference between the 2.
Yeah, no, Adam Recker has been insanely good here today. I actually, oh, big hit on the wall there for Thomas Wolf out of turn 2. That's going to cause some damage. Oh, and there goes Recker into the side of the 91. He spins the 91 out. We're going to have a caution.
Caution indeed is out after contact from Adam Recker. Recker Did that flat entry we seen that caused a big stack up earlier, and once again, same result.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. I mean, this is definitely on record. I saw the 91 bobble quite a bit and slowed down as a result. Handling conditions for the 91 kind of led to this, but definitely I'd say Wrecker just drifted up. You know, it got tight, narrow entry. We've seen narrow entry just be the bane of drivers' existence here tonight, and unfortunately, the 91 paid the price. Very heavy damage.
So a lot of contact there caused the caution, and now it becomes the question about tire sets. Looks to be, for most, one tire set, if not two remaining here, and a lot of the drivers electing to pit for obvious reasons. Unless you're Adam Kwiatkowski, you're getting a lucky dog.
Yeah, 100%. Definitely curious. This is going to be, I think, a very, very important pit stop. This could be the last one. Greg Ratliff has got to nail this. He has to stop exactly perfect. Otherwise, Buckshot's going to be right there. This is going to be good for anybody that's really good on the short run. I mean, this is going to be a short run to the end here. So I'm looking at, even though Adam Recker just had a little bit of contact, I think he's really fast on the shorter runs.
So already pit stops quickly going through for 4 tires. Greg Ratliff wins the race once again. Bernard Person takes third, however. Person a much better pit stop by about a second. Adam Recker loses spot on pit road as a result.
Yeah, Recker just did not have a good stop. He's 49.4, one into the pit road to the other. 15.5 seconds, I do believe, in his box. I think a lot of that's probably explained that Recker had some damage, and I think that he probably just didn't realize that he was going to sit there for just an extra second. And once he realized, oh, I'm done, I can go, he gassed it and had lost that second. So unfortunate for him. Great for Bernard Person. Very good stop for him. He's going to come up to third. I mean, this is the highest running he's been, and this is the time to do it. Person's a good short run car. He always has been.
Of note, out of the race, Thomas Wolfe. He and Jason Spear are officially out. You could also throw George Dibble in the mix, as he's been parked on pit road for the past 32 laps. 3 total DNFs now in this race. But at this point, what does Ripken need to do to take this race lead? Because even the difference in tires, that hasn't worked.
I don't know. I feel like if I was in Ripke's shoes on that last stop, I would have took 2. I would have did what Greg did, but I guess Ripke just didn't think to do it. I don't know. I don't think there's really much Ripke can do but hope that the 5 makes a mistake. I mean, and so far, Greg has not made a mistake. I mean, Greg has not put a tire wrong. He's led the most laps. It seems like he's got this place nailed down now. Has Ripke been hiding some speed that we haven't seen? I don't think so, but it could be.
Well, you better find some speed from somewhere, to say the very least. Borrow it from a friend, even. As we come up to 17 to go for the restart. Greg Ratliff and Buckshot Ripke up at front. Bernard Person, Adam Recker, Tony Ratliff and Todd Gilly, Michael Walker and James Hebert, George Rencon and Darren Bruce, your top 10. 12 are on the lead lap. Jason Ratliff and Eric Whiting, the R2. Of note, Whiting did take some extra time to get some repairs done during the caution period as well. So Greg Ratliff continuing to dominate. Can he keep it up for 17 more miles is the question.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be a difficult question to answer. I think we're going to have to see what he does. It's all in his hands right now. This is his race to lose.
Getting up to the restart zone. Greg Ratliff has waited all the way to the end of the zones, if not further, throughout the race today. This time, he waits all the way past the restart box again. Ripke times it up well, keeps it side by side for the lead.
Yeah, that's the bad thing, is that he waited, and he's done that all race long. So now Ripke has got that. He's predicted it, but unfortunately, it does not matter because Greg Ratliff now is cleared for the lead. Look at Bernard Person, though, definitely trying to challenge. Also, Tony Ratliff trying to see if he can work on Adam Recker here.
To get a Onside and gets loose.
Whoa.
Tony Ratliff loses several spots. Michael Walker zips by. There goes James Hebert. That moves the 6 all the way back to 8th position. Now everybody wants to pass Michael Walker again.
Cold tires. I mean, it's always been like that. I'm assuming it's always going to be like that. I mean, when you... Oh, another loose condition there. Is that Tony again? My goodness.
That was the 25. Adam Recker now misses
yeah.
the bottom. In the battle for 4th position. Up at the front, though. Ripka keeping things tight again. Closest now, Bernard Person's been, though, to the lead. It's right now. He is sending it, licking the stamp.
Yeah, who can blame him? And he doesn't have to really worry that much about tire saving. This is the 8 in his element. I mean, he always has been notoriously good on these short runs, and he's got a short run to the end. He can make something happen here if he really wants it, but he's got 2 tough customers in front of him that are not just going to lay over.
Under 14 laps to go now on the season. Ripka gets a little bit low on the bottom line. Greg Ratliff trying the diamond line, able to hold off the 52 for the time being. Greg Ratliff still looking to try and park it for 13 more miles.
Yeah, I think Ripka's showing a little bit more pace right now. I think he's really trying hard to just, pull every tool out of the bag. But Greg Ratliff, of course, wants this so bad. I mean, he's gotten so many poles this season, has not won yet. He's got second places. He's not crossed the start-finish line first at the end of one of these races, and he is desperate to do it.
12 laps to go. Bernard Person also staying lockstep with them. Right now, everyone in the 27 5s and 6s up front. These are the 3 quickest cars on the track, and Person is sending it the hardest he has all race.
Also, Todd Gilly in 5th place. You love to see that. He's running some really competitive laps right now. Best, I think, this is the best he's had, best performance we've seen so far from him. As we look on board, I think that was with Bernard Person.
Still no moves up front still. Coming to 10 laps to go next time by. Of note, Kwiatkowski, who got the lucky dog, lost a couple more laps because he had to serve a black flag under green. So things are not looking good for the 7 camp to close out the season. Up front, 10 laps to go on said season. Greg Ratliff putting up his best run all year, 150-plus laps led. Can he hold on for 10 more miles?
It looks like he can. I mean, the way he's running right now, it just looks like he's got it right in his, it's right in the bag. But this is that time, though, that it takes a clutch driver to win a race like this. When you get to this point of the race, this is when anxiety is really, I bet his heart is pounding. I mean, I know that when I'm in the same position, I think I'm going to win a race. I ruin it myself. So I don't know if Greg's like that, but I just know I am. So I bet he is definitely probably sweating bullets right now.
Of note, a change for 6. Hebert just took away the 6th position for the time being. Up at the front. Coming up to 8 laps to go. And Greg Ratliff still playing well on defense. Meanwhile, Michael Walker the 2nd. Everybody likes to pass Walker.
Yeah, even though, everybody's passing him right now, he's still having a strong day. I mean, got to give him credit. 8th place right now, not too terrible of a run for him. Definitely a good way to end the season out. But Greg Ratliff holding well under pressure as we come to 7 laps to go. And of course, right now, it looks like everybody at the moment pretty much where they're going to finish, I do believe. We do see some close battling throughout the field. Tony Ratliff, of course, trying to get by the 25.
Yeah, that's the battle for 6 you're referring to. Here's a look at that. Tony Ratliff does what worked for some other drivers. Get to the outside, try and paint the wall on the corner exit. Now he gets loose, forced to cross it up instead. And
really awesome run. Really great run there for Tony. I think he set that up perfectly. I mean, he knew exactly what he was doing there. He ran the higher side to kind of gain the momentum. And then, this is getting interesting.
Tony Ratliff, though, has the better pace, coming up to 5 laps to go on the season. It's Greg Ratliff who continues to lead up front, half a second the distance. He continues to maintain speed, especially in 3 and 4. Just 5 miles to go on the season.
Now, what a punctuation mark here for Greg Ratliff. He is going to be ecstatic, I'm guaranteeing it. We've talked to him multiple times, but never in victory lane. And I'm sure a lot of these guys that are in this group are going to be congratulating him after getting such a great win here, if he can get it done, as he's now come to, I do believe, 3 to go here next time by.
He's done well in some of the other cars in terms of getting victories, but has been able to break through when it comes to this Grand National / Xfinity Series car. And coming up to 3 laps to go, he's put up the outright dominant pace on the evening. Just needs to close it out with consistent laps for 3 more circuits. Greg Ratliff in line for his first Cup Series victory of the campaign if he can hold on for now 2.5 miles.
That is, if it stays green. We got some pretty big battles going on. Eric Whiting fighting George Rincon. They are getting very close for comfort back there. Verging on even 3 wide. And if a caution comes out, I know that would hurt Greg quite a bit. But I think we're getting closer to that 2 laps to go mark. If we get that white flag, he ain't going to have to worry about it at all.
Less than 2 miles to go. Greg Ratliff continues to maintain a solid distance over Ripka. Fuel not a concern, tires not a concern. And for Greg Ratliff, he looks to set things up for one final lap. White flag up on the stand. Final time around for the RGR season for its Cup Series. Greg Ratliff looking to close it out with his first one of the season.
What an awesome performance from the 5 machine. He can see that trophy. And he exits onto the backstretch, gets ready to enter 3 and 4. And all he's got to do is cross the start-finish line, and he's going to be a winner.
Checker flag waves. Greg Ratliff closes the season with the victory. All while Lance Ripka finishes out his championship campaign for the Kaibu Glass Cup with a 2nd place run to Ratliff.
Yeah, what a spectacular finish for both of these drivers. Greg and Buckshot were phenomenal all day long. I think that they were really equal in a lot of ways. If one thing had went just a little bit awry for Greg Ratliff, I think Buckshot would have won this race, because these guys were that even. And Greg deserves this win. But Buckshot Ripka, of course, clinching the championship title.
And dual burnouts for the 2 of them today. Ripka allowing Greg the stage first. Again, it's Greg Ratliff, the race winner. It's Ripka who picks up the championship. Bernard Person, Adam Recker, Todd Gilly, your top 5. Tony Ratliff, James Hebert, Michael Walker II, Darren Bruce, and Jason Ratliff, your top 10 for the final race this season.
Eric Whiting finishing in 11th place. 12th place, George Rincon. 13th, William Gay. 14th, Adam Kulikowski. 15th, a heartbroken Thomas Wolfe. 16th, Jason Spear. 17th, George Dibble.
That's what we talked about the running order. Again, it's Ripka who burns it on down and celebrates. He picks up the Cup Series victory, back-to-back championships when it comes to RGR's Top Flight Series on Sunday nights. We'll take a break. When we come back, post-race coverage gets underway. You're watching Grid Vision for coverage of RGR and its Racing League, as well as its Cup Series from Phoenix. Welcome back to post-race coverage for RGR here on Grid Vision. Justin Prince, Brian Brett, Austin John Bishar producing. As we get set to talk things over with some of the drivers here after an interesting finish and what was a dominating run for Greg Ratliff, but a very consistent season for Lance Ripka. All 12 races finishing in the top 10 in the midst of closing things out here today. Now, we look to talk things over with the drivers. Bernard Persson, it appears, is not available at the moment. But we can tell you Greg Ratliff seems to be. So let's talk with Greg Ratliff. Win number 1 this season, Greg. It takes until the season finale. How are you feeling?
Oh man, it feels great to finally get a win, put it all together, and outrun some of these guys. You know, it's just a good feeling.
What about tonight was different compared to the other races you've ran?
Well, I've always liked Phoenix. This type of track just suits my driving style, and just made it work.
In turn, how would you describe the season as a whole, where you had winning speed in multiple races, top 5 in the point standings? How would you describe this season, and why?
Well, I describe it as a good season for myself. You know, it's and everybody really at RGR. It's just a brand new league. The guys that we're racing against are top notch. Competition is just so high here. So yeah, I had some bad races, but I'm very happy to finish where I did in the standings and the getting a win tonight.
Any shout outs you'd like to give here tonight?
Yeah, shout out to Lance for winning the championship. He also won the championship in our truck series. Shout out to you guys for an awesome job you've done all season broadcasting. Todd Gilly and all the admins at RGR. All the drivers that's been here from the beginning to the and the new ones. And yeah, just a great place to be.
Well, again, congratulations on the victory tonight, Greg.
Thanks a lot, man.
That's Greg Ratliff taking the victory tonight. The championship goes to Lance Buckshot Ripka. He's with Brian.
Oh my, I get to interview the champion? What? Lance, great job to you, man. I mean, you won the title. You came in here, you pretty much had it already nailed down with if you just even started the race. What did that do for you in this race here? I mean, do you feel like you kind of were a little bit more easygoing? Could you take some more risk? What was the thought process?
Oh yeah, I was definitely more relaxed. Wasn't getting those jitters on the last few laps when I was trying to knock on Greg's door, but like you normally do in these races. So yeah, I was able to stay calm and you know, I guess where I finish is where I finish, but you know, again, we don't come to these tracks and not want to win. So I put my best foot forward, and you know, second's what I got, and you know, finishing second to Greg. You know, I'll take that any day. He's fast. He's just had some bad luck in the past few races. So
100%. I mean, he very, very fast, dominant run from Greg here tonight. I mean, what could you have done different? Was it qualifying? I mean, it just seems like he didn't make a lot of mistakes.
you're gonna have to say that question again. The wife was in the background.
Oh, that's all right. I was saying that you know, Greg was really dominant tonight, but you know, and didn't make a whole lot of mistakes. What could you have done to kind of beat him there? I mean, he was it qualifying position? Could you have maybe taken 2 tires like he did that one stop?
I don't think I could have done anything, to be honest with you. He had it figured out. 2 tires at the last stop, I don't think would have done anything for me. Might have got me out front for a couple, but I don't know. He was just too strong. I don't know if I would have been able to hold him off. No, he just ran a dominant race, and yeah, I mean, there wasn't. I don't think any car on this racetrack that could have gave him a run.
I know that's definitely going to build up his confidence. That's for sure going into next season. Speaking of you, though, I mean, you are our champion, and I know last season we wrapped up, I do believe, the last season you guys did with the next gens. That's when I think we came in to start broadcasting for you guys, and you won that championship as well. And I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, Greg just told us You won the Truck Series title. I mean, man, you're just racking up trophies. Where are you going to put them all?
We're gonna have to make some space, I guess. I've been fortunate, finishing, top fives, top tens, getting some wins. You know, I don't know. I'm just waiting for the luck to run out, I guess. It's been a little surreal. I don't even know how to explain it. It's just things are falling in line, and catching some luck at some of these races. My luck was the misfortune of some others, but yeah, I mean, just being in the right place, right time. I feel like next season's going to be another story. It's going to be a lot tougher. If Greg and Thomas get a better start to the season, it's going to be a knockdown, drag out fight for the championship.
Well, we definitely can't wait to see it, Lance. I mean, it's going to be an interesting one for sure. Who can we shout out after winning the RGR Kalu Glass Cup Xfinity Series trophy here for the title championship?
I want to give a shout out to Greg for an awesome run tonight. He's been strong all year. I'm glad he was able to capitalize tonight and actually put her in victory lane. Teammates, Spartan Racing, VMR Wraps, Ripka Designs, Kalu Glass for sponsoring the series. You guys for throwing up a pretty dang good broadcast, and then Todd and all those guys in the background that put all the pieces together and let this go around.
All right, Lance. Well, definitely great job on the second place, and of course, as well as locking down the championship. Can't wait to see you in the future, man. We'll see you next time, and hopefully you don't party too hard.
Yeah, got to work. Can't party too hard.
Well, at least you're going to go into work as a champion.
That is true. It'll make a Monday a lot better.
Yes, sir. Well, you have your good night, brother.
All right, thanks.
That's Lance Ripka picking up the championship. Thank him and Greg Ratliff for taking the time to speak with us during post-race coverage here on Grid Vision. Your final thoughts on the season, Brian, as it comes to a close here tonight.
My final thoughts are just I enjoyed every bit of it. I mean, it was so much fun to watch. There was a lot of back and forth battling and things like that. I mean, not every race wasn't dominated by the same person, which is a breath of fresh air to see. And I can't wait to see who else comes out here and really, take some trophies next season. I think there's going to be a lot of strong competition, and I think Lance kind of mentioned that as well. And I look forward to it.
In turn, let's take a look at what's coming up next here on Grid Vision throughout the week as we get ready for Build Week. Yay! We look to see how things fare out with the Oval Refresh. That's after Grid Vision Super Speedways on the Monday at Atlanta Motor Speedway. May or may not be right before, if not just after Champion at 9 p.m. on Tuesday. But on Thursday, we'll see how the Oval Refresh is handled at Phoenix for the SSRL Truck Series potentially. They hit the track at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Remember, we are booking for slots for the upcoming year. Be sure to inquire to learn more. But on that note, it's time to say goodbye after what's been an exciting season with plenty of exciting battles, strategy, and long green flag runs. For my broadcast partner, Brian Britt, for Austin Derbyshire, I'm Justin Prince saying so long. Enjoy the rest of your evening. You're watching RGR and its Cup Series finale from iRacing's virtual Phoenix Raceway. Congratulations to Lance Ripka, your champion for Season 2.